This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tonight, Trudeau resigns. Under pressure from his own caucus, the embattled Prime Minister will be stepping down as Liberal leader.
Traffic troubles. New data shows congestion on Halifax roads is worse than before the pandemic.
And familiar faces. So Wagamama First Nation retraces its history through archival photos.
Snow finally tapering off for Cape Breton as we move throughout the day on Tuesday. The winds easing across the mainland, but remaining breezy and unsettled with flurries. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. There has been a seismic shift in Canada's political landscape. Justin Trudeau has announced he's stepping down.
The announcement has triggered a leadership race in the Liberal Party, while Parliament is suspended until March 24th. Ashley Burke brings us the dramatic developments and what they could mean for Canada.
A major moment in Canadian history.
Last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today.
The Prime Minister, who's long resisted calls to resign, now says he'll step down.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader.
Justin Trudeau addressing the nation from outside his home at Rideau Cottage, repeatedly describing himself as a fighter.
Every bone in my body has always told me to fight because I care deeply about Canadians.
But staying on as a leader is a fight he couldn't win.
It has become obvious to me with the internal battles that I cannot be the one to carry the Liberal standard into the next election.
Those internal battles bruising and relentless, growing calls from his own MPs to resign only intensifying after last month's stunning resignation of his Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, Chrystia Freeland.
Despite best efforts to work through it, Parliament has been paralyzed for months after what has been the longest session of a minority parliament in Canadian history.
Trudeau said it took the holidays and long talks with his family to come to this decision.
Removing me from the equation as the leader who will fight the next election for the Liberal Party should also decrease the level of polarization that we're seeing right now in the House.
He's now calling for a reset. The Governor-General has approved his request to prorogue Parliament, putting government business on hold until the end of March, while his party holds a competitive race for its next leader.
We have to go in elections.
But opposition parties are vowing to try and bring down the government with non-confidence votes after that.
New Democrats will be voting against this government for an election where Canadians will have a choice.
They want to protect their pensions and paycheck by sweeping their hated leader under the rug months before an election to trick you and then do it all over again.
The Liberals hope Trudeau's departure changes everything and can rescue the party from some of the worst polling it's seen since Trudeau became Liberal leader more than a decade ago and before Canadians head to the polls sometime this year. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Liberal and Nova Scotia Member of Parliament Sean Fraser says although some would have liked Trudeau to leave immediately, that's not what's best for Canada right now.
From my perspective, it makes sense for him to have shared his announcement today to prorogue Parliament and to have a leadership process kick off effectively immediately. But having another leader on an interim basis while you're in government, I think would create a lot of uncertainty at a time when certainty would help, particularly with the relationship with the United States.
RCMP in Lunenburg are investigating the suspicious deaths of two people in Mahone Bay. Police were asked to check on two adults at a home on Long Hill Road on Sunday afternoon. They found two bodies. Police say the people were known to each other, but at this time they're not saying anything else about the investigation. RCMP are also investigating a suspicious death in Bible Hill. On January 3rd, police say they were called to a home on Balmer Drive as part of a well-being check. The body of a 42-year-old woman and an unconscious man were found inside. The man was taken to hospital. Police are still investigating.
The trial of one of the 4 teens accused in the brutal stabbing death of Ahmad Al-Marak opened in Nova Scotia Youth Court today. The 17-year-old, whose name is protected by a publication ban, has pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder. On April 22nd of last year, Al-Marak was found badly injured in a parking garage near the Halifax shopping centre. He died later in hospital. The trial will determine whether this teen played any part in aiding or encouraging the accused stabber. If he did, then he could be convicted of murder.
New data shows what Halifax drivers know all too well. Traffic is more congested than before the pandemic. The city's major population growth and workers returning to the office have all played a role. Haley Ryan has more.
We've all heard it, and many of us have said it. Halifax traffic seems worse than ever. New data backs up that feeling. Halifax drivers are spending more time in traffic than before the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's just become a challenge just to live a day-to-day life and get to where you need to be.
CBC News looked at data from geolocation company TomTom from August through October over the past 6 years. This year, Halifax drivers lost an average 30% more time to traffic when compared to free-flowing conditions with no issues. Back in 2019, the average congestion was 28%. This year also saw 28 days of the worst levels of 40 to 50% congestion, compared to just 6 days in 2019. Congestion is higher than pre-pandemic levels Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, while Mondays and Fridays are similar to 2019.
So why is this happening now? Well, Halifax has a lot more people. About 55,000 people moved to the city between 2019 and last year, bringing the population to 500,000.
There's been major construction projects like the Cogswell District, and with just a few entry points to the peninsula, things can get backed up easily.
It's hard to believe sometimes, but it could be a lot worse. Many people are still working from home.
A recent city survey found 40% of people work from home at least some of the time. It showed people with hybrid schedules usually go to the office Tuesday through Thursday, which matches the new midweek congestion. As painful as it is, traffic professor Hassan Habib calls the current congestion moderate. His students created a model of what would happen if everyone was back in the office, and they saw severe congestion in and around Halifax.
Growth is welcome, but we haven't seen transportation investment in the same scale of the growth. So there is a housing crisis right now everybody is talking about, but at some point maybe we'll start talking about mobility crisis because we don't have enough ways to move around.
Habib says the city's plans for a rapid bus network must happen now to move large numbers of people more easily. In the meantime, Halifax's head of strategic transportation says people can adapt.
Maybe they'll carpool, take the bus, walk or bike. You know, everybody has different things they can do. It's a challenge, but you know, managing traffic demand can go a long way to making the network work better.
The bad news is things might get worse before they can get better. This data doesn't show what's happened since thousands of provincial employees were ordered back to the office in October and federal employees went back 3 days a week in September. Haligonians will just have to wait and see if things get moving anytime soon. Haley Ryan, CBC News, Halifax.
Well, speaking of driving, good conditions in the Halifax area, but certainly not the case everywhere today in Nova Scotia.
Yes, they are certainly getting a lot of snow, especially in Cape Breton.
Cape Breton continues to get hammered by snow, strong winds. That's been the case certainly through Sunday and again Monday. As of Monday morning, North Mountain, the weather station there, already reporting over 60 centimeters of new snow. That is, yes, over 2 feet of new snow. And that is as of this morning. So more snow on top of that, no doubt. You can see amounts dropping off as we work our way, especially down towards Sydney at just 5 centimeters. So this has been generally an Inverness and Victoria storm in terms of the snow, but it's been snow and blowing snow all across the Northeast. As we look at the next 24 hours, could see yet another 20 centimeters of snow in the highlands, so really going to be adding to the snowpack there. Generally another 5 to 10 centimeters across Inverness and Victoria, especially closer to the coastline, and a trace to a couple centimeters for the rest of Cape Breton and the North Shore. The big picture this week, we've got this low spinning around to our east. We're going to be seeing more wind. Not quite as breezy, but still blustery this week with more flurry chances. Temperatures ticking up, though, in the 7-day. We'll talk about that with your full forecast in just a few minutes.
Stay tuned for that.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, a Nova Scotia man is one step closer to getting back on his feet after a house fire. Volunteers were on site Saturday helping find belongings and clean out the remnants of the blaze. Luke Ettinger explains.
David Balam-Hafka sifts through what can be recovered from his Halifax home. An October fire destroyed his Brunswick Street townhouse. He made it out, but his dog Henry did not. And then he was faced with the challenge of cleaning up the carnage.
I didn't have insurance, so hiring a company to do this was going to cost a lot of money. I had estimates on it. So that money I don't have to come up with now.
Team Rubicon, a veteran-led charity, cleared out the burnt and smoke-damaged debris at no cost, so the retired teacher can sell what little is left of his century-old home.
I've got to completely rebuild it, but at least they can see, you'll need all new electric. It'll literally just be brick walls. That's all that's going to be left. We do service projects like this whenever we can come across them. Mostly for us, it's practicing our skills. So when there's a big operation like Fiona 2 years ago, or the Bedford floods, or the Tantallon fires, they're a much bigger operation.
Balam-Hafka will move the recovered items into a storage unit while he looks for a new home. In the meantime, he is staying at the Woodside pallet shelters for those over 50.
I'm just blown away by the support, the kindness and the love that people have been showing me last couple of months. It's just amazing. It really is.
Balam-Hafka says he's felt looked down upon as a homeless person, but still he has gratitude for humanity shown as he begins to rebuild. Luke Ettinger, CBC News, Halifax.
The newest ferry that will sail between Nova Scotia and PEI is on its way to the region. The MV Northumberland, formerly known as the Fanafjord, started its journey on December 23rd. Transport Canada took ownership of the Northumberland in mid-December. This is the ferry that Ottawa bought in 2023 to replace the Holiday Island. Transport Canada says the Northumberland is expected to enter service during the 2025 operating season.
A project to identify Indigenous people in archival images is making headway in Wagamama First Nation.
Members of the community have been working to identify people in the photos for the Library and Archives Canada initiative. Cassidy Chisholm has more.
No, it brings back memories, though, those chairs.
Brian Gugu had never seen this photo of his young self until November. The photo was taken when he was 5 or 6 years old as a student at an Indian day school in Wagamama First Nation. He doesn't remember the photo being taken, but he does know that his name wasn't attached to it until recently.
Being brought out now, it's a good feeling, I guess. Getting to see before I pass anyway.
Gugu only learned of the photo when it was posted on Facebook by a Library and Archives Canada initiative called Project Naming. The photo is one of thousands of archival images of Indigenous people housed within the National Archives that don't have any names associated with them. But the government agency is trying to change that through community outreach and social media.
If there was a white person in the picture, then that person's name was in the photo, but never the Indigenous person. And we have millions of photos at LAC. Not all of them are digitized, but it really helps to bring dignity and honor back to the photos.
Rosie Sillaboy has been following the project on Facebook and working to name individuals from Wagamama. She also grew up in the community and recognized several people in the photos, including Gugu.
To me, identity is very important. I always say it's almost like Canada tried to erase us. So anything like this, it's important to me.
It's a sentiment shared by Janie Michael. Her sister Bernadette died in 2019. A photo of her as a young girl in a classroom was posted by Project Naming in November.
This part is like healing for me, just to be able to talk about it.
Bond says Project Naming has thousands of photos from Mi'kma'ki, still without names. Sillaboy and Gugu both say they'd like to see more photos from their community so they can continue to help identify the people in them. Cassidy Chisholm, CBC News, Waigama First Nation.
There's a pretty look at Carney Lake near Halifax. Ryan will be back with his full weather forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, there is little doubt that it is winter in Cape Breton tonight.
And folks who love winter, they're getting a lot of it, right? If you want to be out and active in the snow.
So many folks head to, especially the Cape Breton Highlands, to enjoy the snow, and there will be plenty now for a long time. I mentioned over 60 centimeters since Friday morning. Then on top of that, of course, what has fallen today. But as a base now, there's 3 feet on the ground at that North Mountain Station. So plenty to go around there. Not quite as much down towards the Sydney area, but it is winter all across Cape Breton, no doubt. Have a look at temperatures. It's actually 1 on the plus side in Sydney, 2 at Ingonish Beach, 2 at Cheticamp. It's It's in the north that, again, temperatures a bit cooler in through the Highlands and -2 at Port Hawkesbury. And we're looking at temperatures all across the mainland, much cooler. So, yeah, why so mild here in through Cape Breton? Well, yeah, the Gulf is helping with that. Those onshore winds blowing in. And, of course, water temperatures in the Gulf still mild for this time of year. 26 sustained winds right now in Sydney, 48 sustained wind at Caribou Point. And then as we, again, have a quick look all across the mainland, you can see sustained at 31 in Yarmouth, gusting to 44. So it's been breezy all across the Maritimes, but particularly here, those gusts in through Cape Breton. Winter storm warnings do continue. Inverness and Victoria County, no question, that is going to be the case through tonight with additional snowfall amounts in the Highlands that could be in that 20, maybe 30 centimeter range. That is for tonight. And then some lingering amounts into tomorrow, but most of that looking set to fall tonight with kind of a rough 5 to 10 centimeters for areas closer to the coastline. And we are going to be looking at some light accumulation even back into Antigonish, down towards Sydney. Could see a little bit of accumulation there as well. You can even see some showers here. There's some milder air wrapping in around the backside of this system. That is helping to bump those temperatures up for Cape Breton as this mild air circulates around the low and then wraps in to Cape Breton. And yeah, obviously lots of moisture wrapping in as well. This is the next system, which will track well to the south, and then it is basically going to take the place of this low. And so we will rinse and repeat this northerly flow right through this week. Area of high pressure off to our west, and you can see we've got -17 Regina and Winnipeg, -25 in Churchill, or in Yellowknife rather, -33 in Churchill. New Orleans just at 7. That's how far south this cold air is plunging, with a very significant snowfall across a good portion of the mid-United States over the last 24 to 36 hours. Tonight, temperatures looking at -5 to about -9 across the mainland, -2 to -3 in through Cape Breton. Those winds from the west back to a west to northwest wind. And you can see the model really indicating that snow tapering off even through this evening, but relentless even into tomorrow morning. You can see throughout the day tomorrow, it's a lighter possibility of some flurries there, where we could see another, again, couple of centimeters, maybe as much as 5 in the Highlands. And note tomorrow afternoon, things kind of fill out here. This is another chance for widespread flurries across mainland Nova Scotia. Could see a trace to a coating, no question about that, but not overly concerned, though we will have to keep an eye on some of that light snow accumulating for the commute home tomorrow. So just a heads up on that. Anywhere from -1 to +2 for our forecast highs across Cape Breton Island for your Tuesday. Temperatures 0 in Antigonish, -2 in Sherbrooke, and we'll get cooler as we move our way away from that low and into the western parts of the province, although temperatures certainly warmer here than they have been the last couple of days. Wind chill outlooks tomorrow morning, widespread double-digit feels to the day, and that's going to be the case even as we work our way into the afternoon. It'll be warming up a little bit, but a pretty chilly day overall. Wednesday, 0 to -2, except 1 on the plus side for Cape Breton, and we are looking at these chances for flurries a little more widespread Wednesday night into Thursday. This is going to be our best chance of some accumulation before a mix over to even a few showers Thursday afternoon, but Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We'll keep an eye on that for some light snowfall. Certainly not anything to write home about, but could be impactful for that Thursday morning commute. And looking quiet, although keeping an eye on Saturday night, Sunday. Amy, we'll talk about that a little later.
It's okay to look ahead to the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Coming up, Liberal MP Sean Fraser weighs in on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's decision to step down. Justin Trudeau says he will be stepping down as Prime Minister and Liberal Party leader as soon as a replacement is chosen. He also confirmed Parliament will be prorogued or suspended until March 24th. Sean Fraser is the Liberal Member of Parliament for Central Nova. Sir, your reaction to the news today?
Well, look, obviously it's a big day in Canadian politics and obviously for the Liberal Party of Canada as well, with the Prime Minister announcing that he'll be stepping away from both positions upon the selection of a new leader. I want to express my gratitude to him for the time that he served and the opportunity to work with him to better my own community. There's a number of investments we can point to across Nova Scotia that are designed to help get more homes built, that are designed to help improve the fight against climate change and to create jobs that deliver meaningful paychecks to people at home. But it's time for a new chapter, and as we move on with the selection of a new Liberal leader, it'll be exciting to engage people across the country to allow them to take part in this exercise in democracy.
Yeah, a lot of Liberals wanted him gone, the Atlantic Caucus included. Did Mr. Trudeau wait too long, in your mind?
Look, there's an old adage that the best day to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best day to plant a tree is today. We are in a position today where I think the Prime Minister has now made the right decision to step away, given that there are divisions within the party as to who ought to lead. And the best way to settle that is not for the incumbent to remain on, but to clear space for a contest to allow the best and brightest ideas and campaigns to emerge. So certainly having additional runway is something that you might sit around wishing for. But given where we are today, I think the Prime Minister on the first day of business, effectively after the holiday break, making this announcement public allows us to move forward with a leadership process expeditiously. So as we move forward, I do think we have sufficient time to run a robust leadership process. And I'll be looking forward to helping the party navigate that, however I may be able to.
Given all that, he is still Prime Minister, he's still party leader. Should he have left today, full stop, to help the party move on from the Justin Trudeau years without delay?
My own view right now, in particular, given the circumstances around the incoming Trump administration and the discussions about potential tariffs applying to their trading partners around the world, including Canada, stability in the leadership process is preferred over the selection of an interim leader, particularly given this unique context we have with the United States. During the last round of the negotiations with NAFTA, I think the Prime Minister demonstrated that he was up to the task, and to have a trusted hand at the wheel for what will be a matter, frankly, of that could be measured in a few months or even potentially weeks, I think will provide the greatest level of stability in the circumstances that we currently find ourselves in. So from my perspective, it makes sense for him to have shared his announcement today to prorogue Parliament and to have a leadership process kick off effectively immediately. But having another leader on an interim basis while you're in government, I think would create a lot of uncertainty at a time when certainty would help, particularly with the relationship with the United States.
Yeah, so how do you see this sort of story playing out in Ottawa the next few days, few weeks? What's your understanding of the party constitution? Does there need to be a full-blown leadership contest? Is that what you think will eventually happen?
There are political circumstances contemplated by the party's constitution that allow for a truncated process. But I do think it's important that we allow for the participation of members of the party across the country to have their say. It's something that we need to watch very closely to avoid the circumstance where a handful of people who sit in Ottawa meet behind closed doors and out emerges a new Prime Minister with no democratic legitimacy. So my own view, given that the Prime Minister is staying on an interim basis, according to his announcement today, is that we will be able to move forward with a truncated version of the leadership process outlined in the Constitution that will be fair, that will be open to registered Liberals across Canada to help select their new leader. And I do think that provides a process that will work, that will stand up to any scrutiny, and most importantly, give an opportunity for different contestants with different ideas to put those ideas on the table, to have them considered, and ultimately to come out with the best package of policies and the best person as leader as we head into the next federal election next year.
Whoever leads, does the carbon tax need to go for Liberals to be successful?
Look, given that I've made my announcement that I won't be seeking re-election, I think it's uniquely unhelpful to drive from the passenger seat. I've heard a number of people who've got challenges with that particular policy. I hear increasingly from young people who may not drive quite as much that they very much enjoy getting the rebate. And I think it will be a helpful exercise in the leadership process to have different visions for what comes forward, not just on one policy, but on environmental and climate policy more broadly, which is increasingly interconnected with economic policy, to put those big ideas on the table. I think it would be a dangerous thing if we turn the leadership contest into a referendum on a single policy, because we would be missing out on meeting the needs of Canadians. I can tell you, when I knock doors, if asked specifically about carbon pricing, people usually have a view, but when you ask them what's on their mind, more often they want to make sure that they can afford to put food on the table, that they get a good job to go to, that they've got a roof over their head, and that their kids can find a place to live that they can actually afford. And I think it would be a disservice to the process if we turned it into a referendum on a single issue rather than a package of ideas that would best serve Canadians.
Okay, I saw someone online, for what it's worth, suggesting that potential leadership candidates Mark Carney as a Iggy 2.0, of course, referring to failed Liberal leader Michael Ignatieff, or Chrystia Freeland as another Kim Campbell, who we remember took over the PCs from Brian Mulroney, suggesting, either way, dark days ahead for the Liberal Party. There is that feeling out there as well. Today, Trudeau said, absolutely, someone else will do better. Do you believe that?
I do think it creates an opportunity for more people to sign up, not just through the leadership process, but actually to support the party going into the next election. When you go through the process of selecting a leader, keep in mind that that creates an opportunity to recruit tens or even hundreds of thousands of new members to your party. It can change the conversation about what it is that the party stands for. We'll be able to more nimbly respond to the ideas and policies that are coming out of the conversations we have through the leadership process. And ultimately, a lot of the people who may even support the policy direction or the policies that Mr. Trudeau and the government have put in place over the past 9.5 years may have grown tired of an individual brand attached to a prime minister rather than the ideas behind a party or a political movement. So having fresh ideas, fresh faces is an opportunity for us to effectively press reset at a time to put a new version of the Liberal Party on the table for Canadians to consider. I've got no crystal ball. Anyone who tells you that the outcome of the next election is a foregone conclusion is blowing smoke. Nobody knows the outcome of these things. Campaigns do matter, and the people who find themselves in leadership position have an outsized influence on the outcome. So I'm very much looking forward to the process in this leadership contest unfolding, and to doing what I can to help facilitate a process that selects a leader that represents the views of Canadians, and then helping the party sell that message at the polls, despite the fact that my name won't be on the ballot the next time around.
So given that, who is your pick for leader? Should it be someone outside of caucus?
Look, I've got no endorsement coming today. I think a process that is open to people who are outside of caucus as well as inside caucus is the way to go. My own view, again, is that there are extraordinary colleagues I've served alongside inside that caucus room as well, who would do very well in a potential general election. But I think the point of this leadership process will be, you don't have to take my pick today. We'll have an opportunity for candidates to actually prove themselves. Leadership contests make better leaders, and this contest is going to allow the cream to rise to the top and have a new person with a fresh set of ideas coming into a position at a time when Canadians are looking for help and frankly are looking for a suite of policies that, in my view, differ very much from what Mr. Poilievre is putting on the table.
And just quickly before I let you go, do you have leadership aspirations either federally or provincially?
Look, I didn't leave politics federally simply to pursue leadership at another level. I'm not going to close the door on future opportunities to seek re-election one day in the future. But I made a pretty clear decision that I've got kids who are 3 years old and 8 years old. And I can tell you, over Christmas, when my 3-year-old son said to me, Dad, I can't believe you don't have to get on the airplane anymore. I know I made the right decision for me and my family for now. But in the meantime, I'm going to remain supportive of the party and do what I can to help facilitate this leadership process and help candidates in Nova Scotia and across Canada become elected and represent their communities in the House of Commons.
Mr. Fraser, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your time.
A pleasure as always. Thanks so much.
Coming up, lawmakers in the United States confirmed Donald Trump's election as 47th U.S. president.
And a deadly winter storm hits parts of the United States, shutting down schools and government offices. Welcome back. Donald Trump's victory is now official. U.S. lawmakers have certified the results of the 2024 presidential election, paving the way for his return to the White House.
The peaceful transfer of power was a stark contrast to 4 years ago when some of his supporters stormed Capitol Hill to try and stop Joe Biden's election win from being certified. Katie Simpson has more.
Washington, D.C. is unusually quiet for such an important day, and as you can see, part of the reason why, it's been decked by a snowstorm. A winter weather emergency has been declared. Much of D.C. has been shut down with a few exceptions, and that includes Capitol Hill, where lawmakers certified the results of the 2024 presidential election. It was very routine, very orderly, as these things typically are. At times, there were moments that seemed somewhat uncomfortable, as the entire procedure is led by the vice president. Essentially, Kamala Harris had to stand there and certify her own election loss.
Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes.
All over Washington, there really is a noticeable increase in security. Before the snow started falling, barricades were put into place, fences were locked in, and that is because of what happened 4 years ago today, when Donald Trump's supporters violently stormed the Capitol and temporarily halted the certification of his election loss. Those supporters had been fed steady lies and misinformation about the election being stolen from him. That didn't happen this go around. Democrats accepted their loss. And while no one was expecting a repeat of what happened on January 6th in 2021, no one wanted to take any sort of chance. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
That massive storm Katie mentioned has brought heavy snowfall and freezing temperatures to parts of the United States. At least 4 people have died so far in road accidents, and nearly 2,000 flights have been canceled. Megan Fitzpatrick has more.
A friendly Monday morning snowball fight to start the week for residents in Washington, D.C. The U.S. Capitol was among the cities hit with a major storm that made its way up the East Coast with dumps of snow, ice pellets, high winds, and frigid temperatures.
Coolest thing in the world.
It was 100% fun.
Schools were closed, and so were federal government buildings, with the exception of the U.S. Capitol, where lawmakers couldn't take a snow day. They met to certify November's election results. Airports in D.C. and elsewhere in the storm's path tried to keep the runways clear, but hundreds of flights across the U.S. were still delayed and canceled. Several jurisdictions declared states of emergency, including Kansas, Maryland, Kentucky, and New Jersey. People in that state were taking the weather in stride and stocking up on supplies.
I'm enjoying it. I love it down here. Well, it's a great place for it to snow, especially when you don't see it down here too often.
Yep, this is going to get me through. Yep. I have 80 rolls of toilet paper at home, too, so I'm good.
In Kentucky, where the storm hit Sunday and continued dropping freezing rain on Monday, some 90,000 residents had no power. The governor said they're in a race against time to get it back on.
We've got today and part of tomorrow to get power up to as many Kentuckians as we can, because with wind chill, it's going to get dangerously cold.
The roads were still dangerously slick in that state, and residents were asked to stay off them and stay home. Rescue crews helped more than 200 stranded motorists, and 3 deaths due to accidents are being linked to the treacherous roads. As city and state officials cope with the storm's aftermath, fans of winter were making the most of it.
My daughter lost a boot and lost her hat, but she had fun, so even if she doesn't remember it, it's a good experience for sure.
Megan Fitzpatrick, CBC News, Washington.
Marine researchers witnessed something off BC's coast this week they didn't want to see: a dead orca whale calf. It highlighted the pressures on the orca community that it belonged to. The CBC's Yvette Bren has that story.
The limp body of a dead calf pushed to the surface again and again by its mother.
Just this immense sadness that how could this have happened again?
This scientist says it's the second female calf this orca has lost.
To see it happen again, that was a gut punch. It was just like, we need this calf more than anything else.
6 years ago, this same female, known as J35 or Taliqua, relentlessly pushed her dead calf to the surface for 17 days. It caught people's attention.
We can relate to killer whales on so many levels. And I think in some respects, we can almost see ourselves in them. And as a result, we can feel the grief of what it is to lose a newborn.
Her pod of about 30 whales lives on salmon, hunting near the San Juan Islands. Unlike transient orcas that sometimes share territory, they do not eat seals or porpoise.
The pregnancies that fail are in nutritionally stressed female.
The southern resident orcas number only 72. They struggle to find enough Chinook salmon and are hurt by contaminants and boat noise.
Of the calves we ever observe, only about 80% of them make it through their first year.
Inbreeding in the small 30-member pod is further weakening calf health, according to researchers who say pods ideally should number in the hundreds.
We are, extremely disappointed and devastated that, she's lost another calf.
But one bit of good news came, a New Year's surprise for observers, a new calf that is thriving.
All signs are good so far. The calf seems energetic, is keeping up with everyone, is swimming strongly.
It was, again, a surprise. And so to have this news come forward on the same day was really astounding.
And especially if it's a female, a strong glimmer of hope for a pod on the edge of disappearing. Yvette Brand, CBC News, Vancouver.
It's back to school and work for many Canadians after the holiday break. But for the nearly 50,000 employees of Amazon in this country, it also means a return to full-time work in the office. And it's not the only employer ending hybrid arrangements this year. Nisha Patel reports.
Amazon employees around the world are heading back to the office 5 days a week. The tech giant is ending its popular post-pandemic policy that allowed staff to work remotely 2 days a week.
People are very upset, and we've signed a few letters and done a few events to try to get more support.
Workers like CJ Felly in Seattle are speaking out. He thinks employees are happier and more productive when they can work from home.
I like the flexibility it provides, and I like that it breaks up the monotony of a workday.
CEO Andy Jassy suggested the change will boost collaboration and company culture, but employees say Amazon hasn't provided data to back that up. Amazon is one of the most high-profile companies to roll back remote work entirely. AT&T and Dell have just made similar moves.
The longer that you've had this hybrid remote experience, the tougher it will be to pivot back to, somewhat of a normal in-office work experience, for sure.
Each of the frameworks.
This Calgary fintech firm has had employees back on site for several years.
And we've really felt that, having people in office really helped with their mental health.
About 19% of Canadians currently work mostly from home. That's more than double pre-pandemic levels.
We're seeing fewer options in the market for 100% remote. We're also seeing fewer options in the market that are 100% in an office. So hybrid is definitely becoming the theme for most organizations.
A flexible workplace is a big draw for employees. 44% of Canadian workers surveyed prefer hybrid work.
Well, I think there's an advantage to whatever allows your workforce to be fully engaged. And today, that appears to be a form of hybrid.
Some economists suggest forcing workers back to the office can have serious costs for companies, lowering employee satisfaction and prompting some to quit. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
If you peek through the windows of a high school or university music class these days, you may be surprised by what you see. It's not just the usual clarinets, trombones, and other instruments students have been playing for years.
It's also some new tools of the trade as music programs try to change with the times. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson tells us more about the dawn of this new era.
Juno-winning musician and broadcaster Shad was once a student at Wilfrid Laurier University. Now he's teaching a course on hip-hop in its music department.
Hip-hop is now 50 years old, right? So there's a depth there in terms of history, in terms of a tradition, and in terms of, some serious writing and thinking about what this music is. But while the drums are playing, nice.
Laurier's Dean of Music says Shad's course is part of the evolution of music programs at universities.
What can we do to be more inclusive of other genres of music and therefore other people who make different kinds of music other than Western, Eurocentral classical music?
Yeah. Maybe.
Public schools are also taking on this approach. In Vancouver, elementary teacher Michael Mironiak teaches the younger grades to sing and play instruments, but older kids get a music tech program he designed himself.
I think it's always good at this age, especially because they're so young, for them to have as much exposure as possible to a variety of genres, a variety of tools and ways to create.
At this Toronto high school, the newest lot of instruments provided by the charity Music Counts are actually computers, turntables, and consoles, attracting a surge of interest from students. Aspiring DJs and music producers are eager to learn the basics of audio production and sampling and layering of tracks.
I thought I'm interested only in programming, and when I tried this,
I found out I like it.
I think it's a creative way to play music.
That's really where the connection is.
Their teacher says it's about more than just keeping them engaged.
Although it might look different than a trumpet or a violin, the type of musical skills that they're able to develop and express, I think, are on the same page. And there's no reason why the curriculum expectations can't be met with things like laptops and controllers and DJ hardware.
As music education takes a cue from the young and lets them explore the genres they feel connected to. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Canada's main stock index closed slightly lower on Monday after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau officially announced he plans to step aside while U.S. markets were mixed. Here's a look at the numbers as we head to break. This is Nova Scotia. And this is Nova Scotia on your smart TV because CBC News is now streaming local. Get local headlines, weather, and community stories, plus newscasts and live programming on your favorite connected device, all for free. It's called the CBC News Nova Scotia streaming channel. See your community on your connected TV and mobile devices. your local news streaming channel, now available. All right, one last chance to chat about the weather, and it's been a busy weather day in Nova Scotia.
It sure has, but some folks have gotten to the coastline.
Yeah, that's
Not
right.
so snowy.
This province, of course, very diverse in the weather, even on the same day and on the same weekend as we saw. Have a look at this picture. This is, we're going to zoom in on the South Shore, south of Liverpool, and all the way down to Somerville Beach. And how about this? This was taken a few days ago, obviously, closer to the new year, but Happy New Year indeed. Yeah.
I like the clock. Nice.
From Jane Dunlop Stevenson and her sister. That's it was she had some help doing this, what I meant to say there. And thanks to Jane for sharing Ryan's picks at cbc.ca. Beautiful stuff there. Not so beautiful right now in Cape Breton, although it's all how you look on it. Winter storm warnings continue for Inverness and Victoria counties. And yes, the snow will continue. Generally 5 to 10 centimeters of additional accumulation tonight, but another 10 to 20 centimeters or even more possible in the Highlands. Continues Tuesday with another 5 centimeters even into Tuesday night. Onshore flurries will continue. So yeah, it is. It's a winter wonderland, especially in the Highlands. Temperatures right around the freezing mark for Cape Breton tomorrow. The mainland will be more like -2 to -3. Those northwest winds, 20 gusting to 30 and 40 kilometers per hour. So still a bit of a bite to the air, no question. That low over Newfoundland that we saw earlier in the program has been battering the coastline with storm surge and high winds across the island. And of course for Cape Breton as well this weekend. That low is going to fizzle, but it's got some reinforcements coming, a secondary low moving in from the south, and so that will basically a nice shot in the arm. And so Wednesday night into Thursday, we'll see the potential for some light snow across Nova Scotia, with even some showers mixing in by Thursday afternoon, as we will see some milder air wrapping in. The weekend looks quiet at this point, but a system tracking just to our south will be one to watch.
Keep your eyes peeled. Okay, thanks, Ryan. Well, a New Glasgow woman had an unexpected guest show up on her front porch recently. Have a look at this.
Excuse me, Buck? Hey, hi. Can you stop eating my holiday arrangement? You back off, buddy. Okay, Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
That's great.
Kate English was at her in-laws' house when she got the notification that someone was lurking on her front porch late at night.
She was relieved to see it wasn't a person, just a deer looking for a midnight snack. She politely shooed the buck away, but she says he's come back a few times for seconds.
Her doorbell cam has racked up millions of views on TikTok, with some commenters calling it the most Canadian exchange ever.
I would agree with that.
Pretty close, yeah.
All right, that's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.